coming to you live from my office in Colorado. And today I'm going to talk about stuff, but I'm going to wait for the actual top of the hour to start, I guess, because it said 11:59. And so, hey, good to see you. I'm Jason, and I guess they record this stuff, so we're going to see how this goes. So I appreciate it. Real hard for me to type on my phone while I'm talking, but today I'm going to be talking a little bit about this camera, which I got on loan from my friends at B&H. Big thanks to them. Do me a favor, if you're online, I heard that it's a good thing to tap the little heart button so that it shows up in the recording or something. I don't know. This is all new for me. So welcome to everyone who's here. And so this is the Fujifilm X-E5. I hope you can see that. And it's a cool little camera. It's retro. It's got sort of rangefinder styling. And if it looks familiar, it's because it looks an awful lot like the Fujifilm X100 VI, or the X100 series. So I want to point out a few differences between that camera and this one, but they're remarkably similar in a lot of ways. So for the most part, they look awfully the same. There's the classic retro, almost rangefinder styling. There's a EVF on the side here instead of in the center. And this camera uses Fuji's control layout, the retro dial. So you've got on the top, there is a shutter speed dial, and then the lenses have aperture rings, which a lot of people like. So that's nice. And the aperture ring has these cool click stops, which are very helpful when you're setting, you get that tactile haptic feedback, basically. And this is the kit lens that the camera comes with, which is a 23 millimeter f2.8, kind of a pancake lens. You see, it's not very protrusive, so that's nice. It's a very compact little walk around camera. And it's also got this really crazy robust neck strap. So there we go. So pretty straightforward. You can use this camera in full program mode by simply setting both the shutter speed dial and the aperture ring to A, and then everything's automatic. There is, you can put it into shutter priority by putting the aperture ring on A and then just selecting a shutter speed that you want to use. And you can put it in aperture priority by simply putting the shutter dial to A and then selecting an aperture using the aperture ring itself. So that's kind of fun. There's also an exposure compensation dial here to go between plus and -3. And so you can dial in exposure comp if you're using one of the auto exposure modes. Of course, you can also go full manual by simply dialing the aperture and the shutter speed ring to whatever you want. So I think it's kind of cool. The on-off switch is right here. It does not have an optical viewfinder, which is something that the X100 series has, that hybrid optical EVF. But that being said, it's very similar. The other dial on the top of this camera, I should point out, it's got a film simulation dial. I don't know if you guys can see that one. You can turn it to different positions to emulate Fuji's films. So it's got Velvia, Provia, Standard, Velvia, and a whole bunch. So I'm going to show you this, what it shows up on the screen. When you rotate the dial, you see it tells you which film you're using as you go through there. So this camera, is supposed to be retro, obviously not just the styling, but it has a few good other features. There's not a lot of buttons on the back, but it does have the little joystick, which is super useful when you're moving focusing points around. And it does have command dials, front and rear. Those can be customized, and they function in different ways depending on how you have the camera set up. So usually they're just set to offset, like say you're in program mode, it'll just offset your shutter speed by a little bit. If you want to just tweak your shutter speed or tweak your aperture, you can do that, or you can use it to tweak your ISO. There is no ISO dial on the camera. So how is this camera similar to the X100 and how is it different? Like I said, the X100 series has a hybrid optical viewfinder, and I haven't used an X100, so people love them. But they have the optical viewfinder. The lens on the X-E5 is removable and interchangeable. Whereas on the X100, it's a fixed lens. So it's also a 23 millimeter lens, which in the APS-C format, that's 1.5 crop from full frame, 35 millimeters. It's a 35 millimeter equivalent. And I forget if the one on the X100 might be, it might be a little bit faster, like an f2 lens. But this is a nice little lens, very compact, and it looks good. Like I said, if you like aperture rings, it's fun. The sensor is the same, 40 megapixel Fuji X-Trans sensor. So you're going to get plenty of resolution, plenty of detail in your photos. This camera has a tilt LCD. So you can tilt it out like that. It does not tilt forward, but it comes out quite a bit. You can tilt it a lot. But if you're going to shoot on a tripod vertically, it might be a little bit awkward. That's pretty normal. It has the eye sensor here. The biggest difference right now between the X-E5 and the X100 6 is you can buy the X-E5. It's actually available in most places, or it's just temporarily back ordered. The X100 is perpetually unavailable for reasons I don't even begin to understand. So if you go on, say, B&H, where they were kind enough to loan me, you can actually go on there and order one of these. I think they're available in certain configurations. It also comes in full black, but they exist. And with the lens, it's $18.99. So very comparably priced to the X100 6, but it's something you can actually buy, which is I find to be a cool thing. And let's see what else. Okay, there we go. I see people. Hi, everyone. Hey, ER. Hey, Mark. Hey, David. Joseph. Good to see everyone. Let me fire this up. There's some other features in here too. I should mention. One thing that kind of, I don't know, sort of annoys me is that Fuji still uses the memory card slot over here by the battery door. And so I find it to be a little bit of a pain to get in and out. I hate opening the battery door on a camera when I want to change a memory card. On the other hand, it frees up this side, so it makes it a little bit slimmer to use. So I got the camera set up, and you can see I can go through the different display modes. So this is the info display with the histogram, and then you can have the camera display with all the info, or just a blank screen itself and see, hey, look, it's me. And then you can customize what's in the EVF. And the interesting thing on this camera, I don't think I can show it on the live, but the EVF, when you look through there, it has the option to cycle through some different modes as well. So you can hit that display button. You can have just the image only. You can have the image with the classic data overlay, where it gives you your mode, your shutter speed, your f-stop, your ISO, and then the exposure comp, or the exposure dial or meter on the side. But then it also gives you the retro option of pulling up an old school viewfinder with a needle meter in the side. And I don't know if that's something that I can actually show on here. I don't know what would happen if I put this up to the. Can you actually see that? I don't even know. Probably not. There's a way I can show it if I do another video using, say, my Zoom, where I can share the screen. I can show it, but it's pretty cool because it gives you red LED old school info on the bottom, and then just a needle meter. So if you can see your metering. So if you or plus or minus, you can see the needle kind of go up or down. So that's kind of cool. The menus, I don't like talking about menus, but it's got all the typical things that you would expect in a modern mirrorless camera. So you've got single focus, continuous focus, and you've got subject detection to include face eye for humans, and then different subject detection modes. So, for example, I can go in there and let's see, figure it out. Subject detection setting, and you can choose all of the typical AI subjects: animals, birds, plane, trains, automobiles, um, that kind of stuff. So very useful from a modern standpoint, because if you want to, especially for people pictures, just turn on the face eye. It's really good. It also has a nice mode in autofocus, where you can use the zone track, where it tracks, just sort of puts up an area, and in continuous focus, it will just hold that spot. Now, they describe it for tracking. Okay, um, that's how it's almost always described. Tracking AF. With the idea is that if you're holding the camera still and you put the focus, on an object, maybe it's not one of the recognizable AI objects, and that object moves through your viewfinder, it'll track. But here's how I like to use it: you put your camera in continuous focus, and what I did was I set the focus activation to the AE lock button, so I can, like an AF on button. Um, Put the square on whatever your subject is, hold down the AF button, recompose, and that square just stays locked on your subject as you recompose. So even if your subject is stationary, this allows you to use continuous focus, lock on your subject. Works great. Um, it's fairly sticky, which is what you want. I took the camera out today, and there was a few times where it fluttered, brown dead grass around here, and it kind of got lost. But most of the time, it sticks on the subject quite well. Fuji's autofocus algorithms are pretty much as good as anybody's out there right now, as far as I know. You can also put it in manual focus mode, and there is a focusing ring on the camera. And with that, I don't know if I can even get it to focus. There we go. Yep, it works. And I'm sure it has all the various focus peaking and other options. I just haven't bothered to turn them on. So the big thing here, it's got a couple of customizable function buttons. It's very solidly built. I like the feel of it. It's made of metal. That's a good thing. It's not particularly heavy, but it doesn't feel like it's cheap plastic either. Although, I mean, sure, there's the plastic grip on the side. It's got that little bit of a bump on the grip, so you can hold on to something. And then, yeah, I mean, I think it'll shoot like, I don't know, like super fast frame rate, but I don't think that's the kind of, purpose for this camera. If you're using this camera, what are you going to do with it? I think if you're in the market for a camera like this, it's because you got to want to like the retro controls. Okay, I mean, that's goes without saying, because it's very different if you're used to using the modern DSLR mirrorless cameras, where you've got maybe a larger grip, but you've got the front and rear command dials to control aperture, shutter speed, whatever, exposure count. This camera behaves differently. Can you take pictures of birds with this? Sure. It wouldn't be my first choice. I mean, but if you like the retro, if you like being able to, see your subject out of your left eye while looking through the camera with your right, this works pretty great. And then the other thing is, you're probably, embracing the retro. It's got all the various film styles. So, if I toggle through them, starting with the standard is Provia, or Provia Like, if you ever shot slide film. So the standard ones are like slide film, color slide film. And then you got Velvia, which is even more vivid. The Astia profile is a lower contrast, slightly more muted, but still pretty vibrant look. So that's more for like portraiture. And then you've got the the non-branded film, but they look like a type of film. So Fuji has these called classic chrome, which is like generic slide film, if you will. Then they have the Reala Ace, which is, and if you hit the little Q button, it gives you info. It tells you all about each emulation. So I can go back to that and say, let's see, Reala Ace. It says, based on Reala Ace, a color negative film that included the world's first, quote, fourth layer technology. And let's see, offering a neutral color reproduction, making it suitable for all subject types while providing high contrast tonal gradation to a solid impression. Okay, there we go. And then from there, you got the Acros setting, which is monochrome. So you got the Acros, and then some other ones in these other slots. They have film simulation slots 1, 2, and 3. So in FS1, it's the classic negative. So it looks kind of like print film. And then FS2 is what they call nostalgic negative, which more looks like it's got a little bit of a yellowing to it. So it looks kind of like older print film might have looked, or more like you had prints in an old photo album that maybe yellowed a little bit. That's what this one is intended to look like. And then you can make custom ones if you want. So apparently there's a whole way to edit film looks online, and you can download them and share them, and people like doing that. The Fuji ecosystem has that. So overall, I shot it. It shoots both raw files, 40 megapixel raw files, and then in the non-raw side, you can choose between JPEG format. Normally, JPEGs is what most people shoot in that mode. But you can also use the new high efficiency, the HEIC or HEIC. How do you say that? I don't even know. So you can set that. And reading about this camera, it makes great JPEG. So if you're just going retro and you want to put this camera into, say, RAW plus high efficiency format, RAW plus JPEG, whatever, and shoot like a smaller size JPEG or a smaller size HEIF, go for it. Why not? You're going to get great looking shots out of the camera. And there's a big movement of people. It's not just the nostalgia thing; it's the film look thing, but it's also just being able to, what you get out of the camera is what you post online. I don't usually shoot that way, but if you like that, this camera is going to be really good for that. So it works just great. And the other nice thing is that if you're a Lightroom user and you do shoot in RAW, you'll get the raw file, and Lightroom has the camera profiles as well. So you can switch between, any of those different looks in post using Lightroom. So you can switch to Velvia or Classic Chrome or one of the print emulations if you want. And obviously you have all that latitude in the raw file. Like I said, plenty of pixels, 40 megapixels is a lot. So all in all, I don't give ratings, but I like this camera. If I were in the market for a small walkabout street, I won't say point and shoot. This is way better than a point and shoot camera. This is a great option from Fujifilm. And it has the advantage, again, versus while the X100 is a very cool camera, this one gives you interchangeable lenses. So if you wanted to put a portrait lens or something on it, you can. I think it's great with just the 35 millimeter kit lens, or I should say 23 millimeters, the actual focal length. Really kind of cool. It's nice. Now, I probably won't buy this, but that's not because I didn't like the camera. It's because I have stuff that I use in my own personal lens collection. But if you're looking for a fun retro styled camera, remember the key here is that the control layout, while perfectly usable, is different. You have to choose a shutter speed for example, you select this. If you're used to shooting that from film cameras, you're gonna love this. If you're a sports or wildlife photographer, you probably want to pick a different style body, whether it's Fuji or otherwise. So that is kind of what I have for this inaugural attempt at going live. I don't know what else, but if you liked it, please hit that little heart button on your screen so that it shows that people actually liked it. Apparently that's good for the algorithm. I have no idea what, but drop me a note, send me a comment, and hit that subscribe. Thanks for being a subscriber. If you're not a subscriber, I appreciate subscribing to the Photographer's Perspective. It's been my project for 2025. I started in January, and it's a great way, I think, for me to reach people who are photography enthusiasts. So I'll shut up now. Until next time, thanks for joining me. I'm Jason Odell from the Photographer's Perspective. Take care and be safe out there.